All right, Eric, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, Adam? How's your week?
Oh, it's been great. Welcome to Staying in Trouble, a podcast here by two dads hanging out on a hot Tuesday night, just chilling out for right now, man.
Yeah, it's been pretty eventful. We hired a bunch of new agents last week. We growing, getting a lot of things done, a bunch of new listings. So it's good to take part of that. Went up, pulled the ATVs into the cabin, got some winterization done. I know everyone's worried about that.
I was up all night worrying about it.
It was.
One of these days, I'm going to make it up there and check this place out.
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up. I heard you were taking Thursday and Friday off to go check out some of the plumbing.
Oh, man. No, I'm not. I'll have Monday off for Veterans Day, but that's about it.
We'll be out of town. We'll be venturing back. So
nice.
So yeah, tonight I thought we'd get a little serious, talk about recession.
Now that's serious.
That's serious. Right now we're talking about the money. Bring me some money.
You know what? Before we get into that, I got to tell you, Saturday night, got to go to the Golden Knights game. I have a problem, and I'm kind of curious if our listeners think that this is a real problem. I know some do. Some of the guys I work with think that this is a problem. So I got to go to the Golden Knights' second game ever, home game. Not ever, excuse me. The second home game.
Okay.
They played the Red Wings. They lost. A little while later that season, I was able to go again, and they lost. I am yet minus one game, all the games I've ever gone to from the first season to the last season, and now so far this season, they have all lost.
Do you know what the current record is?
I do not off the top of my head.
Well,
do you know?
Yeah.
Lay it on us.
So I believe the record right now is 8-4. So that means you have like a 1 in 3 chance of going to a game that they're losing.
You know, it's all my buddies tell me I'm not allowed to go to the game anymore because every time I go, they end up losing. On Saturday night,
the key feature is, were you on TV?
No, I don't think so.
You won't.
You know what? I don't get close. Is there glass around the ice? Because I don't see it from my section.
What
is it glass or does it just stop so high up?
Yeah, it just stops so high up.
No, I was not on TV, but I
know someone who was.
Yeah. Your Facebook profile tells us that.
Yeah,
but no, it was frustrating. They were ahead, and then they lost the lead in the third, and then into overtime, and then they lost. To the Jets, and it was frustrating, but it was going to a Knights game is always a good time. I always have fun, even though I only remember once being there when we walked away winners. So maybe I am the bad luck. I don't know.
That's the key of the game, though. That's the key of the game.
What's that?
See, it's the experience. It's not the win-loss record. And that's the true magic of the Knights game. Because so most arenas, there's no energy in those arenas, a lot of them, right? And even for not just hockey, I mean, you could go to a Dodgers game in the spring and there's not going to be a lot of rousing energy there. You can go to, even a Lakers game, well, until recently, but, last year, there wasn't a whole lot of energy. There wasn't a whole lot of hope. And this year, there's a lot of parity in the league, except for when we got roasted 6-1. And we got skated out of our own arena on Nevada Day.
Yeah.
But besides that, there's a lot of parity in most leagues, right? Our local Raiders, or soon to be local Raiders, are 4-4, and everyone's talking about them being on the bubble. But driving by that new stadium, dude, that looks legit.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I saw that Saturday night going by there, getting ready to go park over there. Man, it's going to be really nice. It's going to be really nice. But anyway, no, you're right. The Golden Knights game, it's not just a hockey game. It's a show, and
and see that leads.
The wife and I had a good time. We were with friends, and I mean, it was a great night. But I was just wondering if that's like a true thing if other people think the same thing. You know,
No,
I mean,
you don't go to enough games to cause anything.
no, that's true. I don't go to enough games.
Well, but that leads me to the
Not with
topic I
ticket
wanted to talk
prices the
about.
way they are.
Exactly. So let's talk about recession, right? It's easy to talk about housing, and everyone thinks housing recession and housing bubble, blah, 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 blah. I talked to a lot of friends who are contractors, and they're all trying to do the same thing. They're like, I think we're all going to hold on to our money. True or false? Mm-hmm. Is a recession a self-prophecy?
I kind of want to say yes.
100%.
Yeah.
Like every single recession, even the housing bubble, is a self-fulfilling prophecy. So if everyone's saying, hey, maybe we have a recession coming, right? Because I hear it all the time. Hey, when's the recession coming? And I go, well, my next question is, are you losing your job? And they go, no. I'm going to keep my job, but other people can lose theirs, which I find just funny. I was reading a report this week, 40 of the top cities for foreclosure and vacancy. Uh-huh. And do you know where Vegas ranked on it?
I don't.
Nowhere close. We're nowhere close. We're not even on that list. We're on the hot list. We don't have a problem with vacancy. We don't have a problem with people moving here. We don't have a problem with people finding jobs. As much as people want to talk about recession this, recession that, all they have to do is, we got Christmas coming up. I'm sure you're going to buy a few gifts, right?
I'm going to have to.
So if you don't buy gifts, guess what you'll help cause?
A recession.
Yeah.
For sure.
And so as dads, like, isn't that always our fears?
I feel like this is a test.
This is it's a self-fulfilling test. Interest rates for the housing market, all-time low right now. Everyone should be buying, but everyone's like, oh, there's a recession coming. Well, if everyone stops buying, there will be a recession. But if they keep buying, so we'll talk about the Raiders Stadium, because it's actually key to this recession that we're experiencing. Because when's the Raiders Stadium going to be completed?
By next season.
Wow.
2020.
So do you think Vegas is going to feel a recession then?
No. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think a team brings more than just a stadium with them and entertainment. I think the team itself invests into the community. We've already seen that with the Golden Knights. I think we'll see it with the Raiders. I think the players are encouraged. I don't know if they are or not, but I would think that they would be encouraged to invest in the community that they play for. I mean, half of these other players in other areas, like John Elway owns a car dealership, and he had that even when he was playing. I mean, these guys get involved in businesses in their communities and invest money into it and dump money into youth programs and all kinds of stuff.
Right. And so it's about that. So for our listeners out there, if everyone could go out and start preaching that, we're going to have a boom instead of recession, guess what will happen? Literally, we'll have an economic. Me personally, I'd like to have just a little. I'd have a little calm, a little calm in the water is what I would prefer to see. But I know that everyone's like, there's a recession coming. We better hoard our money so that we can buy stuff cheap. Well, guess what? You start hoarding your money, you start causing a recession.
I think that the word recession, I think they use that word in politics. They throw it around too much, and it's almost like the boy who cried wolf. Now, yeah. I feel like it's lost its meaning to it all. Like, it's not really what it really is. I mean, I know that sounds stupid, but they keep using that. Well, Trump's going to cause this, or someone else is going to cause this, and we're going to have a recession, and that's how it's going to be, and this and that, and they use it as fear tactics to keep throwing it at us, and then we get scared, and then next everyone's buying gold and silver because money's not going to be worth anything, and people start behaving in a way, and it's just ways to manipulate us. I feel I have no economic background whatsoever.
Well, you figured it out all in when
when someone calls for recession type stuff on the news, or when you talk about it, I won't lie, I don't worry about it. I just like, oh, whatever, dude. Like, if it's going to come or it's not going to come, I think maybe most Americans are in the same boat I am, and they just don't understand. They don't even know.
They actually fear the boogeyman. It's actually, it's
maybe the boogeyman and the bankman's the same thing.
Yes. And so, no, I was listening to Planet Money, and they talked about the history of recessions and how recessions are caused by the boogeyman, how sometimes we fear the future. And so when you said fear, it's like, boom, keyword, that's it.
Yeah.
Well, and so, I could talk about real estate and recession literally for an hour, easily, just sitting here. But I think more about being dads. And so one of the things what we've really strived to teach our kids is the value of money and the value of
spending. Don't save your money, kids. Spend it so we don't have a recession.
Well, my oldest has no problem with that. He actually puts he has his goal out there, and then he goes and he spends it. And I'm like, wouldn't it be nice to have a little coin sitting around? He's like, no. I'll just go out and make it.
Yeah.
And so he's a economic driver, as you would call it. But I think as dads, like I think back at my own childhood, did your parents ever talk about money?
No.
Dude, even like when I was applying for scholarships, my mom did not want to cough up tax returns. My mom and my stepdad never talked about finances, never talked about, what we quote unquote as a family could afford. That was never a conversation for us. And come to find out, my parents had, we live in Las Vegas. They had a decent, depending on your perspective, they had a decent gambling hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And I wondered why. I'm like, I think my mom makes this much. I said, that's a lot more than national average. Okay. And then plus my stepdad's income. Oh, that's funny. I think we should, maybe we should have newer stuff around here. And literally, it felt like the weekend after I moved out, they got new TVs. They hooked up cable literally like the week after I moved out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, was I really eating them out of house and home? But I never really understood my parents' economics until they're later in years, and I had to step in and kind of oversee a lot of their numbers. So
the only lecture I remember as a child from my parents was always just schooling. Do good in school and everything's going to work out. You got to do better in school. Make sure you do your homework. Work harder, study harder.
No, I never got that.
And I never got the whole money lecture type thing. We were kind of stuck somewhere in the middle. My dad always, he was blue collar, worked at Time Met for like 35 years and then retired. But we never had a ton, but we never went without type, somewhere stuck in there. He always provided for the things that we needed, but he was very strict on certain things. And he did want us to kind of have our own job. My very first job was over there. It's still on Boulder Highway, still open, was that Carl's Jr. You know which one I'm talking about?
Mm-mm.
I thought right now it's between a liquor store and a
I know
casino.
which one you're talking about, but whether it's a legit Carl's Jr. or not is still debatable. In my mind, I'm pretty sure it's a money laundering outfit.
Well,
like I see one car a day there. So
it's the only shop in that whole shopping center that's still the original thing. Everything else in that shopping center, maybe China Joe's is still the same thing, but I don't know. Maybe they're gone
China
now.
Joe's hasn't been there as long.
But nonetheless, my very first job. And I saved up, and I think I told you this story. I wanted those Reebok pump shoes.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
And that's all I wanted. My old man got so mad at me because I wasted money on something he felt was a frivolous waste of money.
Yeah.
And he that's how I kind of got like, I don't know, like you always find the cheapest item out there, and sometimes that's not it. You want to get good quality stuff. But
so my mom was always big about, this is what my scar was, is did you ever go on school trips growing up?
Yeah.
So my mom would give me some running money, and the first one I think was in 6th grade, and I think we went to Six Flags or somewhere like that, and I came back and I almost didn't spend anything because I was so fearful. And then the next year, and my mom's like, why didn't you spend more money? I gave that to you to spend. Okay. Next year comes around, go on a school trip, get home. Mom's like, hey, where's my change? Change? You told me last year to spend everything.
Yeah.
I actually think I had to borrow a couple bucks to buy the last thing. And she's like, so I was like, oh, I got whiplash. I'm like, damned if I do, damned if I don't.
Yeah,
and so
for sure.
It's kind of crazy. I just felt like economically, my parents never really talked about economics. And it's funny that they say that that's one of the biggest items as families, like, people don't know. But if you listen to a lot of like bootstrapped entrepreneurs, I was actually listening to a talk by President Uchtdorf, and he was talking about how his lung disease got cured from doing laundry job when he was like 12 or 13. Did you hear that story?
No, I didn't.
So real quick synopsis, he's growing up in East Germany, and to make ends meet for the family, he gets on a cart, like a bicycle, and pushes and delivers laundry. Like his mom washes it, and then he has to deliver it to whoever ordered the laundry to be done. This is the time before washing machines, and so she does the laundry, and then he has to deliver it. And when he wanted to be a fighter pilot, and so when he's in 18, and this is in West Germany, he goes in for the physical, and they're looking at an x-ray, and they see the scar on his lungs, and they're like, how did you cure your lung disease? He never knew he had lung disease. And, but he attributes, they said, fresh air and hard work is how you cure that.
Wow.
And so, it's kind of like a product of trying to, help out with the family finances. Mm-hmm. And so, and I think that's kind of lost on today's generation. So, and also, I mean, a couple other things. Did you know, we talk about the green economy. How does the green economy affect you? Unless you drive that gas guzzler out there.
No,
the short bus guzzles gas. Come on.
It guzzles diesel. That thing's a beast, man. And that's my wife's car.
Oh, now you're not taking credit for the short bus?
No, I don't want to take credit for that thing.
What about this Caddy out here? This Caddy's no Honda Civic.
No, it's very fuel efficient.
In which ways?
I don't know.
You don't put gas in it and it doesn't go anywhere? I can't say anything. I mean, our Pilot and my F-150 get the same gas mileage, and they're not hybrids. But it's funny that we badmouth oil all the time. The oil industry, dude, takes a licking, right? Mm-hmm. Green, right? Even to the point of like, hey, we all should go buy Teslas. True fact is, guess what? We wouldn't have Teslas without. This is a quiz again.
Oh, you're asking me a question.
Yeah.
You gave me that look. Without oil.
Yeah. Oil is like, so, like in sci-fi movies, they always talk about, hey, there's this one trick, like, this nuclear plant that, propels the spaceship through space, and that's how you get into hyperspace. Mm-hmm. Realistically, oil single-handedly has propelled like human mankind, like literally has jet rocked.
You don't think we can run out? And that's not a question because I don't know the answer.
Yeah, I don't know if it's on. I don't think it's on the horizon. Like, we like to not pollute, We're probably a green family in that way, but now I'm really thinking things like I did a little history dig on. Do you remember the scare about, hey, we got to start recycling so because all the dumps are filling up? Mm-hmm. Yeah, complete lie. It was all propaganda, and I'm like, so now I'm like starting to wake up, going, like all this bad mouthing about oil, and then like literally, like I am totally for cleaning up the Pacific Ocean garbage patch. Love it. Let's get it out of the ocean. I love clean. I spent 2 years in Costa Rica. Love the naturalists. But the honest truth is, we would not have electricity in the form we have it today without oil.
Yeah, you're probably right. But in the green defense, I'll play the devil's advocate here.
Good luck with that.
In the Greens' defense, I think that I think anyone who has left the borders of this country and have gone to a country that's not very well off, that doesn't have the regulations, the rules, the things that we have, you can really tell a difference when you go down there. Today,
they don't have that much oil, so they can't have the good stuff.
But it's some of those regulations. I mean, we have a beautiful, clean environment because of some of those set regulations. As much as they may be a pain in the butt at times, I think we can credit how beautiful this country is for that. That today is a big day for me. For November 5th is what I call my mission day. November 5th of 95, I left on my Mormon mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I went to South Africa. And I came home November 5th of 97. No, anyways, being in South Africa was a huge eye-opener for me, especially at that time of my life, being 19 years old and young and stuff. It was a huge eye-opener walking around in these townships in Soweto and other townships around Johannesburg. And I realize a lot of the blessings that we have here. And when I got home, the wonderful blessings that we have of safety. I mean, the South Africans I think they're really still very nervous about crime and the things that are happening in their country. And it was just a huge lesson for me. And it became a patriot kind of boiled up inside of me that I didn't have in high school. I didn't care in high school. But when I got out of high school and I realized that I left the country and I realized the awesome things about this country, it was just a huge eye-opener for me. So I feel like some people, we get carried away with complaining about some of the issues that we have here, but they're not even remotely the issues of the world.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
We're very, I always tell my wife, dude, that's such first world problems.
Oh, all the time.
And it's, I don't know. But,
so I served my mission in Costa Rica. Have you been to Costa Rica?
No, I haven't.
So Costa Rica.
Same thing. Is it like poverty or?
There can be. Like, so it's, unfortunately, there's a lot of Americanism that has gone, that has developed in Costa Rica. Costa Rica is one of the most developed countries in Central America. They don't have a standing army. It's provided by the U.S. It borders Panama and Nicaragua. Does Nicaragua ring a bell for you?
Yes. Okay. Holy cow, dude! That's one A I got in high school was geography.
Okay, and my friend Hansen, who we'll hopefully have on the podcast, he served his mission in Nicaragua.
Oh,
and he goes back about once a year to do different, either university projects or different humanitarian projects. Costa Rica is number one industry is tourism, so everyone goes down to Costa Rica, which is kind of sad because when I was there on my mission over 20 years ago, it was not as developed, and it was nicer, like in some ways. Like there was more potholes back then, but it was a lot more. The culture was still more Costa Rican. It didn't have so much Americanism in it, and so like I'm torn from that culture because I love the fruits. I love the natural stuff like that. Rice, beans, chicken every day. I could eat it 3 times a day. Mm-hmm. And then, and I mean, literally there's just fruit everywhere. Like even in small, like backyards the size of this table, people still have fruit trees just everywhere. It just grows. And then, but hearing the story about oil, like it actually came about because of electricity, because they had to figure out how to put the cabling on. And that's what invented plastics. And it was called Bakelite. How cool is that? Yeah. That's the original plastic. And so, but when you think about plastic, you know, Tupperware and everything else, that's all oil. It's all derived from oil. And because oil is so cheap, we're actually able to enjoy stuff that common folk, if you want to call it, commoners, before couldn't afford. Like you'd have one toothbrush, is usually a silver toothbrush, or if you had one comb, it was some other metal. Mm-hmm. And so you would only have like one of those items. That's why they were so precious back then. Now, you know, our daughters will break a hairbrush and we don't even think about it.
Yeah, throw it away and buy another one.
Yeah, and it's all because oil is so cheap. So when you ask, well, hey, aren't we going to run out? Yeah, we are going to run out at some point, but we're also learning to recycle that hydrocarbon as well. And so, and the fact that it's still so cheap tells us, you know, when you start seeing products like an extension cord, you know, cost more, then you know we're running out of oil.
You know, I read an interesting article about gas prices. And everyone talks about, oh, man, I remember gas prices were 98 cents a gallon or 67 cents a gallon. I wish we could go back to that day. And what the article was saying is we are paying the cheapest amount of gas today than we ever have. And what they compared it to was the average income.
Yeah.
When in the 1980s, when gas was down in the cents, 80 cents or 90 cents, whatever it was, the average income or even the minimum wage at that time, you know,
$3.
Yeah. So if you do the math, technically what the average income today, what your income is today compared to what you're paying a gas, even though it could be $3.50 a gallon today, it's still cheaper than it was back in the 80s. And if you do that kind of math, so it was kind of interesting. A lot of people complain about gas prices, but you know, it's still cheaper because you also look at how much you're making. I'm making a lot more than my dad ever did. And, you know, and I'm sure you did the same. And I'm sure our kids are going to make a lot more than us. And it's that economy that kind of grows like that.
Scale. Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. You know what else was in the news today? I just looked this up.
A lot of tragedy.
Yeah, well, it was. But, you know, that family that was shot down in Mexico.
Yeah.
You know, it's super sad, and this is going to be my opinion. It's super sad, but
I don't know anything he's going to say. I'm not associated with Adam at all. I have no idea what's about to come out of his mouth.
Dude, no.
If you want to turn this off for like 30 seconds and come back on, I'll clarify things.
I'm very sympathetic on what has happened, but at the same time, I cannot wrap my head around why is anyone going down there?
They were down there for a wedding.
Is that what they were doing down there for?
Yeah, and there's a large
a
large population of Mormons in that area.
But dude, I would not cross the border. I'm sorry. I wouldn't do it. Not for a wedding, not for anything. Not in today's world and what's going on down in Mexico.
I agree. So
it is crazy down there.
That is crazy.
Even if you had a good friend's wedding down there, I'm sorry. I know there's some beautiful places. I've been to Mexico before. My wife and I went on a cruise a couple years ago. We went, I forgot what beach, like cruise destination we were in, but I mean, it's a beautiful place, and we had a great time. But it's such a crazy place right now. It's just, I don't know if I would feel good enough, even whatever circumstance it is, to pack my family up and drive across the border right now.
No, I agree with you. I wonder what. Unfortunately, we started off talking about recession. I don't know how Mexico's tourism industry is gonna be hard pressed to recuperate from this news, realistically. And so, if their tourism industry goes down, which is one of the combatants to the drug cartel, because if you only get money coming through the drug cartel, then they control the supply of money. If you control the supply of money, then it's very hard to combat that influence. So I do feel like Mexico has crossed a line this time. Everyone in there was women and children.
I know. It breaks my heart. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. It sucks all the way around.
Oh, we're not going. Like us included. We almost went to Mexico for spring break earlier this year.
I would not go.
And Sarah is like,
there's no way
I don't think we're doing it. And now, she looks like a genius. She's like, oh man, that was a good call the whole time.
Yeah. You want to go to a sunny beach? We got plenty of sunny beaches here in America.
Yeah.
You want to go to a cold beach? We'll go to a cold beach. I mean, we got beaches all over. This country has a lot of beautiful things inside of it, and to take a chance on going, I don't know. It's I don't know. My heart goes out to them. I saw the headlines of it today. I didn't dig into the article. I just kind of skimmed through it. I did not know they were down there for a wedding, but I was.
No, it was 100% crazy.
Sucks. Yeah, it sucks all the way around.
So,
but anyways, yeah, the recession, man. Boy, you picked a really good topic today.
Just because it relates to little things.
Does.
I get asked about it like literally probably at least once a day. Like, when's the recession coming?
But no one knows.
Actually, everyone does. When everyone starts thinking about it, and they're like, so it'll be interesting. All you have to do is watch the Christmas sales.
So what you're saying is, don't buy into their fear crap.
When you start buying into fear, is when someone else is gonna win. It's not gonna be you.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's it also affects parenting, like you said. And as parents, as fathers out there, take the time, teach your kids good economics.
Yeah.
Teach them to save, but teach them how, you don't just buy when you want to buy something. There's nothing wrong with saving up. Staying away from debt, I think, is always a good thing. That's one thing my wife and I preach to our kids is staying away from unnecessary debt. And what I mean by that is like my wife and I, we stay away from credit cards. We don't use any of those. There are things that you have to go in debt for. I mean, very few Americans have enough money to pay cash for a house or even for a car.
Well, let's talk about important things. So, number one, this podcast is brought to you by Rooftop Realty, which supports you buying houses. Buy a house today, we'll sell your house tomorrow.
Buy a house today, stop the recession.
That's right. Number two is LeBron's. So we have a Patreon account. I don't have any of LeBron's. So if you want to support the economy, you can buy. I wear size 12.5 or 13. I really like some LeBron's. I think the Lakers are going to do well this year.
You are pushing it on that 13. Come on. You wear a 13?
Yeah, I have since like 7th grade. I'm just normal size all the way around.
How is that normal size? 13's a normal size?
Yeah, and I'll tell you why. So do you know that most size 13 shoes are the same price as, how old is your youngest son?
3.
Yeah. His shoes and my shoes are usually the same price. Jeez. Figure that out. Figure that one out.
So they're cheaper.
A lot of times, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to cut our listeners a break. If my birthday's coming up soon, they're like, man, what would Eric want for his birthday? I know that's always a good question.
His shoes.
I could always use another pair of shoes.
Here's a good question for you. Who has the most shoes in your house? You or your wife?
Oh, I do, without question. My kids kid me. Oh, I only have like 1 or 2 shoes. Yeah. Sounds like you need to save your money up, brother.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like my kids, sometimes they'll walk around with some holy shoes, and like Sarah's like, I gotta get these kids some shoes. Maybe put some tape on those things, and then I'll find a good deal.
And then next, Amazon's dropping off a new pair for you, right?
I just had to get some shoes for golfing. Had to get some. Sarah's like, oh, let's go into the New Balance store, and she wanted to get some shoes. Yeah, it's good for the gander, good for the goose.
Yeah.
So
there we go. I think we got off topic, man.
No, I don't think so. I think the recession is actually, it's a, yeah. I mean, I could sit here and talk about recession, how we made it through the last one, but at the end of the day, we talk about, I think one of the greatest fears as fathers is providing for our families. And so that's why I wanted to bring it up.
It's definitely one of our biggest stresses.
Oh, by far. And so, it's just kind of crazy, to think, I've been self-employed for 17 years, and so when is that next dollar going to come through? I've been, kind of chasing that dog for a long time.
That's definitely a hustle. And I won't lie. And that keeps me away from that because there's people out there that have that entrepreneur type mentality that like you have that can do that and can handle it. And you may not know when that next check is rolling in, but you're going to hustle. And then when you get it, there it is. For me, that would keep me up at night. That would put a lot of fear in me. So for me, working for someone, like I know on Friday I'm going to get a paycheck. I know roughly what it's going to be, and I can budget for it and kind of plan for it, and I know it's coming. And then the next Friday, I know it's coming again and coming again. And, so yeah, that's the one thing that we teach our kids, or we try to, is you have to find out what makes you happy. I think this makes you happy,
Well, if anyone is looking to offer me a job, I have a very unique skill set, and my skill set is being Eric, and I'm really good at that. So
that's why we started this podcast.
Yeah,
get our personalities out.
If you wonder if I like to come in a little late, I like to, so even in school, come in a little late, leave a little early. That's my flavor, or like stay late. It's funny, like you never. If you stay a couple minutes late for the employer, it's not a big deal. They're like, oh, thanks, Adam. That was nice of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're like 3 minutes late. Oh.
Yeah.
It's like,
there's definitely pros and cons, but like I said, that's why we teach our kids. You got to find out what makes you happy. Find your end goal, and then figure out the path to get to your end goal. It may take college. It may not. It may take a trade school. It may take an academy. And you may want to be a fireman, a police officer. You may need this training or that. It doesn't matter what you do, but find out the thing that's going to make you happy. And if it's running your own business and making your own rules and coming in late and leaving late or whatever it is, you got to find that out for yourself. It's that self-discovery that brings that happiness. And sometimes it doesn't always come with dollars. That happiness comes with that accomplishment of doing that. But then to some people, like myself, I feel a lot of peace working for someone else, that I don't have to worry about that. That's just my mentality. But it doesn't work for everyone else.
Yeah, I'm a horrible employee, but I will take any job offers. Like, once again, if you're looking for that person with unique
a radio host job,
someone who likes to listen to his own voice. Someone who likes to make jokes and make
maybe
people laugh.
Some sports.
Yeah,
there we go.
Well,
anyways, I think this was a good episode. Some good information. Always, guys, please subscribe. Check it out. Tell your friends. Share our post. And you can always tune into YouTube and check this out. If you don't want to just listen to us and watch us talk, you can always check it out.
I did do my hair special for today's episode. So.
It does look quite dashing.
Yeah.
A little dapper Dan.
Yeah. If you use some imagination, it might even fill itself in. So
I can edit some hair for you.
Yeah.
But anyways, so hey man, thanks for listening. And the ones that have been listening, we appreciate your support. And always listening and checking us out and telling your friends. But keep it up, and we're going to keep up these episodes.
All right. Booyah.
Right on, man. See you later.